ambulance back at the back of the 1980s Toyota Hilux. The front stays the same. We only really changed the back. The front is pretty much the same, except like the driver gets a radio to talk, and then the back is where we made a whole bunch of all the improvements. Essentially, what the basis of it is, we attached what there's sometimes called truck bed toppers, where it's a piece of some sort of like structure that's either metal or some sort of like a tough tarp. It's used to make a covered back portion. Considering this is the Congo, and probably more likely this is going to be a tough tarp, will it withstand the weather there? Considering that they have a dry season and a monsoon season. Dry season should be fine. In monsoon, its weather conditions are the millimeters of rain they get a year is just a little bit less than like the Metro Vancouver rainy season kind of deal. So it should probably hold up with a tent-like material. So then the way we've arranged it is that we have the major components of it are, we have the spinal board and the structure, which you could essentially put, just have it propped up against the wall. You can have the structure in the middle. The truck bed is long enough for a person to lie down in, but it's not quite tall enough for someone to stand in. But then there is space for a person, for the paramedics to sit down. We also have some shelving, which can also serve as a seat. Or if they need to be doing CPR or something like that, there is space beside the seat in between them and the patient, where they can kneel down and do their compressions and such. Easy access AED, easy access spinal board, easy access structure. Oxygen tank is also relatively open, the left at the back, but then shelving seat, I forgot to draw it in, that we were thinking that there would be a seat belt. There would also be strapped across. They could also be strapped across the lap. We're thinking that the shelving could be attached to the truck bed by either welding or bolting it to non-vinyl, to pieces of metal that aren't the chassis, but the bottom of the truck. And then there's just an L shape of shelf that makes up the shelving that goes from the top to bottom. And it's inside to store the various metal standard issue metal supplies, probably just shove jumps, a jump kit underneath the seat, and that, as well as whatever other bits of rebreathers and whatever you need in an ambulance in there. Based off of Craigslist, truck canopies are around 500. The cloth type truck canopies are going for around $500. The installation for a truck canopy, there was a couple of I was researching. There's a couple of guys who are just bought it, installed it myself. It's like a DIY home project kind of level of technicality. So a guy with a proper shop would probably be able to do it just as well, if not better. Medical supplies inside is whatever is standard for the ambulances. Though for the structure, it will have to be a flatter foldable type than what you would typically see in a Canadian ambulance, because the Canadian ambulance is typically a lot more robust. Has a thicker frame, it's taller, which is the main issue here, considering that the height of our compartment is probably only going to be 4 or 5 feet tall max. Shelving secondhand, also looking at it based off of Craigslist, it's $50. It can be made by any decent carpenter, which they probably have. The oxygen tank just needs its own special little place, maybe, just so that it's secured when the ambulance is bumping around, considering this is less than ideal terrain.
So, common injuries. We're looking at a place where this is normal. It is not the best, it is not like we have here in Canada. It is more or less like just, it's like what we would call here like a third world country. Even though it does have like a republic and some politics, it is not like the best that we have here. So it's common-ish. So the common injuries that we found that this ambulance would have to be equipped for and would be able to fit in our design are cholera, malaria, and basic firearm injuries. These could be solved by, for cholera, you could use basic electrolyte packets until you were able to transport them somewhere where they'd be able to get the better care they need. But for, in this term, electrolyte packets, they're nice, small, can fit in compartment. Malaria, basic treatment while transporting can be used by these little pill things, which have a really technical name that I don't know how to pronounce, so I'm not even going to try it. But there's these little pills that can just be ingested, which you can, like, they're just really small packets, so they'd be able to fit in our design. And for firearm injuries, every ambulance should have a basic first aid kit in it, and ours should too, which will include firearm injuries as they would need gauze, tourniquets, basic things you would find in any first aid kit. For the communications equipment, we have been, this is where it's in South Africa, which doesn't normally have the best. It doesn't have the as upgraded as a Bluetooth signal as we have here. So having like a basic radio, which we'd be able to use, would be ideal. These two were the ones that I had found that would be the at most best for this type of circulation, as they do have a very big wide range. They're really easy to use, and their durability is really good, which can be good in an ambulance. Their battery life is really good, as in like some places without electricity won't need to charge it very often, and they'd be able to produce and they'd be able to use it for longer. And the weight is relatively small, so we'd be able to use it, like it'd be able to fit like nice and small and it's nice and small. This is the Rocky Talkie, and then that one is the Motorola Talkie TA01. Between the two of them. Yeah. Questions?
Yeah, so yeah, there's a question period.
Have you thought about putting any type of power source or power supply in the truck? Like for charging the walkie-talkie, charging your system?
Ultimately, it'd be too heavy.
It would, because like I mentioned, the compartment we're thinking of is very small. We were thinking hopefully they would be able to charge their walkie-talkies in between shifts at the hospital. And most other equipment either has a manual counterpart that's either smaller. For example, like suctions, rebreathers. Suctions can be hand done, or rebreathers can also be hand done. And the manual units are smaller, though they are more of a pain. At the same time, you could also just charge it at the hospital.
And for the radios, most of them that I've seen some of them are battery powered too. So even if you do have rechargeable batteries, then you could just swap out the batteries nice and easily.
The chances that you're going to get stuck in that kind of environment, so
Yeah.
they're fine. So
Yeah, that is why I picked the ones with the best battery life. So even if you are stuck for a few hours, that should last you long enough.
thank you.
That's a mechanical type question. Our ambulances tend to have that they're tall, which would give you standing head. And so you've gone with the truck bed style, which is kind of going to crawl in. What is the design decision to not have it taller and to go for the short?
Basically, it's availability. It's easier to work with something that's already being produced than try to have somebody make a specialized entire tall thing. That's because we're supposed to be working with people with like basic levels of technical ability and something that you could scavenge. So this is what we could come up with those requirements.
Okay, so they would find a truck canopy and then modify
Something
that
similar.
versus make a truck canopy.
We do have the opportunity of asking, like, we were told by local, like, the people, so like the government people, so we could, if we did need to, we could import. But from like the Congo, which is right beside it. If they like each other.
We didn't look that much into politics.
Yeah, I got similar questions. I guess in terms of charging, you could just get a cheap inverter, stick it on lighter, you can have a couple of plugs coming out of there so you can charge it. So with your existing plan. Range of the walkie-talkies, what is the range, did you remember? Plus 7 kilometers?
Yeah, so like there,
I see
this
some
was
of
like
them.
talking about like the range. I was looking at them. There was an image that I forgot to put in here, but it was a range, like a really wide, like there was over, like there was like someone in the like Rocky Mountain, like on the top of the mountain, and then there was someone in a village nearby, and they would be able to still range these walkie-talkies.
Yeah, I think my only concern there was potentially, line of sight. Those are line
Yeah,
of sight.
they
Yeah,
are.
if there's
They
a
were be able
substation.
to. The walkie-talkies that these one, especially the walkie-talkie, that one is able to work in out of like sight.
Okay.
Follow up. Would VHF make more sense?
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Very high frequency. There are Motorola's as well, so you can, Motorola also makes them. Or police.
It's a different kind of.
Different kind, yeah.
These were like the top.
I know, but good thoughts in terms of walkie-talkies. Water. Got a carry stack of water somewhere.
Yeah, we were thinking that would probably go in somewhere in the shelving units.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Take a 5-minute break. Pizza's here. Get pizza, get situated again.